Hey, this is Dr. Green with Momenta Chiropractic, and today we're going to go over the pigeon stretch with a little bit of a contract relax type of stretching component to it. So this is something that we tend to find if we've kind of maxed out or 90-90 hip mobility stuff is getting a little bit easier and we want a little bit of a deeper stretch or sensation kind of in that posterior hip. The pigeon pose is a really good option for that. So with that, we'll kind of set it up. So with a normal pigeon pose, there are a couple different variations of it through different yoga instructors and things like that. For the sake of this video, I want to cue it so that that front leg, the foot and the knee are in line, and that we're going to kind of square the hips. So rather than having it at a slight angle here, not a bad position to be in, but for the sake of the exercise, it's difficult to kind of isolate the posterior hip in that position. I'll show you from the left. So rather than having that 45-degree angle and sitting back here, we want to be able to bring that foot up to about a 90-degree angle of flexion there. And that way we can place the knee right in front of the hip and then add a little bit of a pelvic tilt in that position to isolate the posterior hip capsule there, okay? If I let my knee crash in and I try to get into that position, it's gonna lessen the stretch, so it just allows us to kind of maximize it there. So weight on the hands, 90 degrees at the knee right in front of hip, and then we're gonna start just with a little bit of an anterior pelvic tilt where we're kind of pointing our belt buckle down towards the ground, and that's gonna isolate the stretch there. If that's enough stretch for you, you can leave it right there. If you want a little bit more stretch, you can lower the torso without rounding in the back to see if you can increase the stretch a little bit more there. So one of the contract relax techniques that we'll use is you take it to that stretch position, and then you're gonna put a little bit of pressure through the floor, through that foot and knee to squeeze that glute a little bit, just to add a little bit of tension. We're gonna hold that for about 5 seconds, let it relax, and then sink deeper into that stretch, and we should find that it increases the range of motion. The most important thing about this, though, is to make sure that we're maintaining good posture and good technique to make sure that we are isolating the stretch in the backside of the hip. I'll show you from the opposite side here. So, squaring the hips and the knees. So 90 degrees here, knee right in front of hip. I'm going to sit back a bit. I'm going to rotate the pelvis forward a bit, and then I'm going to sink into that stretch. And if I'd like, I can add a little bit of tension through the glute by pushing through the floor, hold for about 5 seconds, let it relax, and sink deeper into that stretch, okay? So that is the pigeon stretch with a little bit of a focus and emphasis on the posterior hip and with a little bit of that contract relax, which we'll tend to do for, let's say, 2 to 3 cycles and then switch sides. So that's one option to help kind of improve flexibility and mobility in the hip, especially if you've kind of hit a little bit of a plateau with some of the basic stretches. And yeah, if you have any questions on that, let us know.